drinking buddies. Today I'm going to be channeling my inner Jamie Heineman and my inner Adam Savage, and we're going to be busting some drinking myths today. I'm here for you so that you don't fall prey to the victims of such harmful myths as these.
I'm your drinking buddy.
So the first myth we're going to bust today is going to revolve around beer. Now, there is this myth going around that if you buy beer at your store and it's cold and you bring it home and you don't put it in your refrigerator, that it's going to somehow go bad. This one I find really annoying because it's not based in any science at all. First of all, most beer comes to the store in a refrigerated truck. So if they were to take that beer and put it on a shelf and sell it at room temperature, those people would be perfectly fine buying it. But somehow if you do that yourself when you get home, you're gonna ruin the beer, which is just ridiculous. But for science, we're gonna go ahead and test this out. So I have beer A that I put directly in my refrigerator when I got home after getting it. Let's pour a little of this. And good time to shout out Button Brew House here in Tucson, Arizona. Really good stuff. This is a blueberry beer. Beer B, I went ahead and subjected to some horrible temperature abuse. I went ahead and took this guy and put it in the fridge, and then I took it out of the fridge, and then I put it in the fridge, and then I took it out of the fridge, and then I put it in the fridge, and I took it out of the fridge, to the point where I don't even know how many times I did that. But I did it several times for science. They're both nice and cold, they're both in our refrigerator. Beer A, our control, went directly in the fridge. Beer B, I went ahead and abused with temperature. Let's see if it makes any difference whatsoever. Let's begin with brew A. That's just a lovely fruit beer. Tastes great. Let's taste beer B. That's just a lovely fruit beer. I couldn't tell you the difference between these two beers if you paid me. If there was a gun to my head and they're like, tell me the difference between these two beers, I'd be in a lot of trouble, because the truth is, the things that are gonna make your beer go bad mostly involve around light pollution. You buy a can of beer, it's gonna protect it from that. You buy a bottle of beer, it could go bad. So something to keep in mind, if you're worried about your beer going bad quicker, buy cans, and you don't like that aluminum taste, pour it in a nice cold glass. Works every time. Oh, temperature abuse. So delicious. So the next one we're going to be tackling is going to be the neck pour. And this is a pretty controversial topic amongst whiskey drinkers, because a lot of people do believe that there really is something to this. And we're going to test it right now. The neck pour is a thing that says that if you have a bottle and it's open, it's going to taste better than a brand new bottle. Something about letting a little bit of oxygen into the bottle is going to make it taste better. So we have a bottle of E.H. Taylor that I've been drinking on for a little while, and then we have a brand new bottle of E.H. Taylor. And I'm gonna go ahead and open that, and we'll get a neck pour out of this. Now, some people that also believe in the neck pour myth, which may or not be a myth, I've never tested this, claim that it's the other way around. It tastes best right out of the bottle, and that oxidization ruins the bottle, which there might actually be a little bit of truth to that one. It's quite possible that this one that I'm opening right now is gonna taste better than the one that's been open for a while. Now that, I believe, could be true. All right, I got a little bit of a brand new bottle and our already open bottle of E.H. Taylor. I chose E.H. Taylor because A, it's delicious, it's one of the best bourbons of all time, but B, I had an already open bottle and I had a closed bottle. So let's begin with our bottle that's been open for a while. Baking spices, cinnamon, oak, barrel, char, a little bit of heat from the proof. Just an all-around great flavor for a bourbon. That's the one that's been open for a while. Let's get a little bit of a palate cleanse in between. Just a little smell should help. The neck pour. Just to make sure, I don't want to give false information here. Well, I really wanted to bust this myth, but I think more research might need to be done because I do feel like there is a very, very slight edge to the neck pour. Am I crazy? Very slight edge. I think it's possible that since this bottle has been open for a little while, maybe a little bit more of the water has evaporated from the bottle, the quote-unquote angel share, and maybe some of the more alcohol has been left behind because that's the difference is I taste just slightly more booze on A from the already open bottle than I do on B, but it's so slight. So I would be perfectly comfortable saying that this is either busted, plausible, or confirmed, any of the above, because the difference is so slight. Truth is, between these two, it's E.H. Taylor in each glass, but maybe just slightly better on the neck pour, actually. All right, drinking buddies. So our third and final myth to bust tonight, or confirm, who knows? Beer before liquor, never sicker. I've heard this since I was a teenager. I went ahead and started with beer tonight. I've had a beer and a half. I just had those E.H. Taylors. And now I'm gonna go ahead and record another video. And I'm gonna let you know in the morning how I feel. I guess the only real way to confirm or deny this is to drink the same amount of alcohol 2 days in a row, but start with beer one day and then move to alcohol and then drink the same amount the next day and start with alcohol and move to beer. After 2 days of testing out this myth, I'm going to go ahead and call it busted. I'm saying this for two reasons. One, I didn't feel a difference either way, and two, because basically the myth is embedded in the idea that beer will give you a worse hangover if you drink it first. But by the time you wake up the next morning, all the alcohol has been absorbed, unless you're waking up still drunk. So there's no way that the beer could make your hangover worse if you drink it first. Now, there might be something to the idea that beer in general can make your hangover worse because it's not been distilled, and distillation removes a lot of the impurities in the alcohol. So chances are you might have a worse hangover from beer alone than you would from, say, whiskey or vodka alone. But when you're mixing the two together, the order in which you drink it probably doesn't have any effect. There is a little bit of truth to the fact that carbonated beverages can make your stomach lining irritated slightly and therefore absorb more alcohol. But again, how would the order in which you drink it affect that? Busted. Now, what I would say when it comes to hangover myths is don't drink too much and then you won't have a hangover. But I get it, there are those times, your best friend's bachelor party, your college graduation, your maybe the night before your wedding, something like that, where you go a little bit too hard and you're waking up with a bad hangover. At that point, your best bet is Pedialyte. Drink lots of Pedialyte. and hopefully you can handle your upset stomach with some sort of Pepto or something like that. There are a lot of ways that you can take care of a hangover. I should be very clear that I'm not a doctor and I'm not giving medical advice, but I get that avoiding a hangover is part of drinking, but just remember when you're drinking, rotate out water here and there. Instead of getting another drink, maybe get a glass of water. This has been Busting Drinking Myths, and I think the hardest part of this, if it does become a series, if it is popular, is going to be testing these hangover myths, because I don't want to overdrink. So I will probably try to avoid those in the future. But go ahead in the comments, tell me a drinking myth that you'd like me to tackle, something that you think is either true, that you've heard that maybe other people don't, something that you want me to test, and we can bust these myths together, or confirm them.